I am here today to try and save you, and rescue you from your reading slump, because I know all too well what that's like. And these are books that helped me, so hopefully they will help you. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that, these might not save you, so please don't take legal action against me. I'm kidding, that was a really lame joke. Bear in mind that we may have slightly different tastes. Now, I did try and find ones from different genres, but I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be honest here and just tell you what got me out of my slump. And yes, 3 out of the 4 books I will be talking about are thrillers, so if you really don't like thrillers and that's like a big no for you, then yeah, you probably aren't going to like this video. I've got 4 books to talk to you about that got me out of my slump, so hopefully they will get you out of yours. I feel like they will. Just give them a go at least, see what you think, and let me know below what you thought about them, by the way, because I would be very interested. And if you didn't like it and you were like, what the hell are you on about, are you insane, then tell me, because I like to know if I am. I know I am, but you know what I mean. So we'll start off with the first one, and bear with me because I've got my notes here, so I'm kind of reading off my notes a little bit. So this one's called Poisoned Orchids by Sarah A. Denzil and Annie Taylor. So this is co-wrote together. Now, I have read a lot from Sarah A. Denzil before. She's one of my, I wouldn't say she's one of my favourite authors, but I do quite like her work. I wouldn't go as far to say that. Annie Taylor I never heard of before, but when I read this book, I was like, yeah, I need to read more from this author, because them two together just wrote beautifully. Like, oh my goodness, it was so good. So, Poison Orchids, what is it about? I hear you beg, I hear you plead. 2 young backpackers. Oh, I probably should say, sorry, I forgot to say this at the start, that all of these reads are 5 stars as well. I don't know if that matters to you, but yeah, they are. So that means 5 stars for me is quite rare to get into. So this is about 2 young backpackers. Now, they go to a farm. I can't remember what the farm's called, but they go to a farm to become fruit pickers. Now, they're kind of like hippie-ish and like, yeah, whatever, man. Just laid back, whatever. They're quite young. I think they're in their like early 20s. So, just traveling the world, and they get this job on a fruit farm, fruit picking. I feel like already you're kind of getting where this is going, and they go, I can't quite remember exactly what happened. Go down this dark highway, isn't that like a motorway here in the UK? Just trying to think. Yeah, I think they go through some sort of lane or something. I'm not quite sure, but something happens essentially. There's an incident that happens. There's an incident that happens. And so when they wake up the next day, I think one of the girl goes mute or something. I can't quite remember. But basically, something happens to the other girl. She's fine. I think she's alive, from memory. Again, I'm straining to remember. They tell 2 different stories. So like the one girl's saying something completely different and the other woman's saying something completely different. And there is a detective. And normally I don't like detective police stuff, but this was actually quite good. I don't know why I've got my hands still up. Like, this was actually quite good. You will like this. You didn't know who to believe. It was like, wait a minute, try and see which perspectives sounded more realistic. By the way, again, I'm really sorry about this, and we have quite a small house, and I feel like every video I'm having to apologise for noise, but my husband's taking a shower downstairs and he's got the music on. I did tell him to turn that down. You might hear that, and you might hear him in a minute with the hairdryer in the other room. I've got the door closed, but yeah, I just thought I'd say that. I'm really sorry. Hopefully it won't pick it up too much. With this book, there's a really heavy theme of cult, right? Because they're in like a commune kind of thing, and the leader I should say, like, kind of not a leader, kind of is. The leader is seen as a kind of, yeah, he's very influential, he's very charming, and I've got to say he charmed me a little bit. I was like, hello. There's a lot of twists in this as well. There's just when you think you've got somewhere, it's like, oh, there's another twist, oh, there's another. I just remember I was loving every minute of this. I don't think there was a moment where I was like, this is boring, this is not realistic. Like, it felt realistic. The only problem I remember having with this is that the ending wasn't all that great, and it was a little bit too predictable for my liking. But that was it. That was the only real criticism I have was the ending. But yeah, I don't hear people talk about this one enough, and it was really good. I think it's very underrated, and I would highly recommend this. I believe it would get you out of a slump because it's quite fast paced. It's got loads of twists in it, and it's realistic enough where you don't feel like, oh, this is too far-fetched, like this would never happen. You feel like this is something that would definitely, it's the kind of thing that would definitely happen in real life. You really didn't know who to believe, and I think that's what kept me going, because I was like, oh wait, but she's saying something and that could be, yeah, it was really good, and I would highly recommend you read this to get you out of a slump. And my second book, and I do hear this a lot in book talk, booktube, all the book places to be, this is Sweet Pea Series by CJ Scoose. Now, I will preface this by saying I only really enjoyed the first book and the second book. There's 5 books in the series, and I only really enjoyed the first 2. The second one not so much, but I think I gave that 4 stars. The first one was 5 stars, and the rest were either 3 or I think they were just 3 stars. I really really enjoyed this, and I didn't think I'd like it quite as much as I did. So this is about a young woman who lives in the UK, and she becomes a serial killer, and it's her story and how she does that. And that's, you probably think, what the hell, that sounds a bit dark, but it's got a lot of dark humour in it, which I really loved. You know, if you're British as well, you'll understand some of the Britishisms in there. It's really funny, it's really kind of tongue-in-cheek. You do weirdly start to sympathise with the character. So the female character is called Rhiannon Lewis, I believe, and you really do sympathise with her, at least I did. She lives quite a dull, mundane, boring life, but she does, she's been treated really badly, essentially, and I guess you could say that about a lot of people in life, and she's treated quite unfairly, quite badly, overlooked quite a lot, and she just gets fed up of it, and that's kind of where the story goes from there. And like, you know, it talks about how she becomes a serial killer, and she is quite an unlikable character in some ways, but you do find yourself getting quite, like, you can kind of see where she's coming from. At least I could, and I don't know what that says about me, but I could sort of empathise with her in parts, which is weird, and it does question yourself a lot. But there's the humour is brilliant, it's top notch. I will say it leans on a little bit of millennial humour. I mean, she is a millennial technically, I'm a millennial, maybe that's why I find it funny, but you know what I mean. There's a bit of a millennial humour, there's a bit of like millennial stuff in there, but if you can get past that, then you'll love this, and it's brilliant, and it's fast paced. It just, from the start, it's like you're straight in there. There's no holds barred, it's just bing 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 bing, and it's very clean cut, if you know what I mean. Like, there's no kind of like loose ends. It was very just like, this is what's happening. Yeah, it's very tense in parts as well. It's just so funny. Like, it's like I said, if you love dark humour, you will love this. I can guarantee you will love it. So I'd highly recommend this. It will get you out of the slump. The only thing that will put you in a slump is possibly reading past book 2. Like I said, if you did enjoy past book 2, then let me know, because I struggled. Then we're going to go on to one of my favourite authors, which is John Mars, and this is When You Disappeared. So this was interesting to me because John Mars is very strange to me. He can be a little bit of a hit and miss author for me. Sometimes, like, when he gets it right, he gets it so right, and it's like, yes, John, come through. When he gets it wrong, it's like, oh, John, oh man, what are you doing? This one for me was a good one. So this is about a couple, and I believe they have a family as well, like young children, I can't quite remember. But one day the husband goes missing. I think he goes out on a morning run like he normally does, and the wife can't find him, and he goes missing, and it goes back and forth between the POV, so it goes back and forth between the wife and the husband. And what does he do, this husband? He goes off and lives a completely new life and just abandons his family. And I believe he leaves the country. He is completely unhinged, by the way, this husband. Like, he just does what the fuck he wants. And I hate him, but it's so entertaining. I can't lie, it was so entertaining. Like, I hated him. I hate what he put the wife through and everything. But I can't quite remember, again, this was a while back I did read this. But I do remember, actually, things aren't always what it seems. So, like, yes, he's a horrible person for doing that, but the wife wasn't also perfect. There were some things that she was doing, I think, if I remember correctly. I love unhinged characters. They've got to make somewhat sense, though. Like, and he does. I kind of get why he did. I don't agree with it. I want to make that very clear, but I kind of get it. And I think, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, I think this is the book where he goes to, like, somewhere like Thailand or somewhere like that, and he just, like, starts having sex with prostitutes and just living his life, and, like, I don't know, it was, like, so out there, but it was kind of funny, and, like, again, a bit of dark humour. I liked it. Like I say, I could see why people maybe didn't like it, but I thought it was really good. It was really fast paced, and I really liked that it did follow the both perspectives. And I think following back to the wife was actually kind of a good shout from John Mars, because being with that character for too long was like, oh my god, I need a break, because he was just going crazy, like doing all this stuff, you know, going really out there. And then when you got back to the wife, it was like, oh thank god, a bit normality, so to say. I couldn't get that out there. I was like, normality, yeah. So it, you know, it was a bit jarring going back in between, but it was kind of fun and entertaining. This is what I love about John Mars, is this book. He just brilliant. When he does it so fucking well, and great. And I would highly recommend this because it is fun. It's a fun book. It's crazy, but you'll have a good time. You will be entertained. I will almost guarantee that. Whether you hate it or love it, you will at least be entertained. And then last but not least, we have Top Girl by Danielle Marin. So I had to double check that because I thought it was Martin, but it's Marin. So this isn't a thriller. So all the other ones were kind of thrillers. This one is a memoir. Shock, because I do like my memoirs. This was probably one of the most different kind of memoirs I've ever read. I don't hear this one being talked about all that much. This was one of my favourite memoirs, I would probably say, of all time. It's very short, so you don't feel like it's dragging. What's it about? I haven't even said what it's about. So this is about a woman who, she's quite, I think she comes from a fairly privileged background. She went to a grammar school in the UK, and I think she's fairly privileged. Like, she's got quite a normal, I hate saying that word, but you know what I mean, normal family, nuclear family, that kind of thing. They all get on as far as I can remember. Again, this is a while back now I read this. She ends up in a drug gang and she ends up leading the drugs. And this is a real story, by the way. This is a memoir. This really did happen. And she, because she's in charge of this drug gang basically, and this drug mule, and you know, she's in charge of basically operating this drug cartel thing in the UK. And as far as I know, I don't think she goes to prison. I finished this in a day. It's really fast paced. It's really good, but it's not fast paced where it feels like it's rushed. It's just, I was just hooked, and nearly everyone I read on Goodreads was saying the same thing. Like, from the first page you're hooked. Like, it will just grab you. Like, she just grabs you, you're just hooked. And it was so good, and I could see this being like a TV series or something, because some of the things she was doing, you sit back and you think, no, it's just out there, and but it's honest. And I really appreciated about this book about this author is that she's really honest. She doesn't hold back. It's very gritty. You know, obviously there's a lot of triggers in there. Most of these books I mentioned have got triggers in, but this one in particular, just bear that in mind. It's very triggering, because I believe she does have a young son at quite a young age. Well, the son at quite a young age, and yeah, she goes through the troubles of that. Because I believe, I mean, I don't know now if this is still a thing, but at the time of the book, her son doesn't speak to her anymore. She's very honest about that. She kind of understood why he doesn't, and she's slowly trying to build a relationship back with her son. Very raw, very honest, very gritty, and that's the kind of things I like in my books. Yeah, and it also just absolutely fascinating, interesting, and just like, it just goes to show that anyone can be affected by this. You think you're not, you know, you think, oh, I live in a fairly well neighborhood and blah blah blah. No, it can happen to you quite easily. And I can't remember, again, this was a while back I did read this, but I remember I just finished it in a day. I couldn't put it down. I was just like, I have to keep reading this. It's like you know, like in a horror film where you kind of don't want to look, but you kind of like this, you know. It's like that. That's part of the reasons, and I'm going off a bit of a tangent here, so just bear this in mind, but it's part of the reasons why I love memoirs or like biographies and stuff so much, because I feel like it's a part of themselves they're given to the reader, and you can almost see that sometimes when they're writing things, it's like you can see it's therapy for them. And I like that. Some people don't, but I really like that. I think it's part of the human experience. I love people sharing their stories and their interesting lives. I don't have a particularly interesting life, so I do like hearing about other people's lives and, you know, how they came to be. And I love that. I love stories. This just solidified to me why I love memoirs so much. Like, it was just fantastic. And it did get a little bit of traction when it came out, but it's kind of not really known. It's not really that talked about. I would highly recommend reading this. It's just gripping from the start. Even if you're someone that doesn't tend to like memoirs or doesn't like any of that kind of stuff, it's so fast-paced. I think it's only like 290 pages, or I think it's even less than that. I don't remember it being particularly long at all. Like I said, you will love this. Like, I guarantee it. You don't even have to like memoirs. If you're someone that doesn't like it, I almost guarantee you will love this. It's just, it almost reads like it's not a memoir, if you know what I mean. It reads like a fiction book almost. So yeah, it's just, hands down, I love that book. I don't know why I always do that when I wrap up. It's like, woo! That's all the books that I have for you. I might do a part 2. Let me know if you're interested. But yeah, that's it. That's all my books that I will guarantee will get you out of the slump. Now, I said you don't have to particularly love thriller. You might not agree with me. If you don't, let me know. But yeah, that's all I have. And to be honest, I do have a bigger list than that. But I thought I don't want to go on and on and on and on and on, because that could get a bit boring. But I've got 4 really good books I can almost guarantee that will get you out of the slump. At least one of those will. I can almost guarantee they will. And if they don't, and you hated all of them, come back and let me know, and I will give you compensation. I'm joking, I have no money, but you know what I mean. Like, I will talk to you about it. That's it. That's all I have for you lovely people. So yeah, I hope you have a really good day, and thank you so much as ever for watching.